Should you read it? Well, you're the only one that can really answer that question, but I will do my best to help you out because I really think you should. Hey there, Boat Dragons. I'm so glad you're here with me today. I'm going to be discussing the Liveship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb. This is the second trilogy in the Realm of the Elderlings series. And I buddy read this series with Danielle over at Bookara, and we had a really great time reading this together and discussing it. So I'm going to tell you all about it. Before I do, though, please make sure to like this video if you enjoy it. Please subscribe to my channel, join my Discord if you'd like to talk with me about other book series there, and head on over to my Patreon if you would like to support me there. And speaking of Patreon, I would like to thank all of my wonderful patrons for their support. Now that that's all said and done, let's get right to talking about this series. I'm going to start off telling you some of the basic information you need to know, and then we'll talk about characters and magic and all that good stuff. You know how my reviews typically work if you've been here before. So let's get to it. The Liveship Traders trilogy is a nautical fantasy series. It takes place primarily in Beantown, although there are other locales that are featured as well, such as Divvytown, which is the Pirate Isles. There's also Treehog, which is a city in the Rainwild territories. And there's also Jamalia, which is a major port of commerce. And then there are other ports of call as well. The primary transportation is, of course, on boats, because it is a harbor and it's, nautical fantasy. And the people with the highest status in this particular part of the world are the trader families, because they are the ones that bring in all the food goods and textiles and different things like that they've collected from different ports of call on their ships. And there are trader families hailing from Beantown as well as from the Rainwild territories and also from Jamalia, because they have sponsored an influx of new traders into the business. Most, if not all, of the trader families are privileged enough to own live ships. And a live ship is just like it sounds. It's a ship that is alive. The most prominent feature of each of the live ships is their masthead, which is intricately designed in the personage of a human. And over the course of years and sometimes decades, the live ships absorb the memories of the families that pilot them. And after members of those families die, they eventually come to life and take on a personality of their own. They become completely sentient. They can talk, they can think, they can reason. And so if you are part of a trader family, it's very likely that your family owns a live ship. So that gives you a basic idea of what this world is like. Let's go ahead and talk about the characters. And there are many characters in this world, but I'm really only going to focus on the main POV characters as well as a couple of additional ones. The story mainly centers around the Vestrit family, and the patriarch is Ephraim Vestrit. He has recently started to decline in health, and it is expected that he is not going to live. His youngest daughter, Althea, is under the assumption that she is going to take over the live ship from her father when he dies. We also have her sister, Kefria, and Kefria's husband, Kyle, is currently the interim captain on the family live ship, which is Vivacia. And Kyle and Kefria have two children. One is Malta, a very strong-willed, self-indulgent girl, and their son Wintro, who was given by his mother to the priesthood of Sa, which is one of the main deities in this particular part of the world. There's also Brashentrell, who is part of a trader family, but was disowned by his family and disinherited, and so he starts out this story as the first mate on the Vivacia. And we also have Ronica Vestrit. She is the matriarch of the family. She is Ephraim's wife. And once it becomes apparent that Ephraim is going to die, they summon all the members of the family together to talk about the next steps. and things happen. People don't get what they think they deserve. People start taking control of the situation, especially Kyle, who's just an absolute asshole. I don't mind saying that. He just is. He's just a despicable person. He's one of those characters that's written so well that you just love to hate him and just despise everything he does and the way he treats women, which isn't uncommon in this world because women are not looked very highly upon to begin with. It's the men that usually handle all the business and captain the live ships and things like that. But just the way that Kyle treats women is so much more worse than anyone else does, and you start to wonder why Kefri even married him. And so that is the Vestrit family. There's also a man named Kenneth who is a pirate, and he fancies himself as the king of the pirate isles and hopes that eventually one day the pirates, who are all independent and anarchist and everything like that, he hopes that one day that they will see the reasoning behind having one overall ruler of the Pirate Isles, and he wants it to be him. Then there's the Rainwild Traders, Janny Kupras and her son Rain. There's also the Festru family that are fairly well known in this part of the world. And they have gone into partnership with the Vestrit family as well as other families to design and construct the live ships. And so they play very heavily into this story as well. And there is a specific street in Beantown where all the Rainwild Traders set up shop to sell some of their goods. And a lot of those goods are magically inclined, so you can get magic trinkets. And there's one person who is not a Rainwilder who has set up shop on Rainwild Street, and that is a woman by the name of Amber. And she is just a very mysterious character throughout the whole series. And after the series was over, I was discussing it with Danielle and discovered who and what Amber is, and it was just, oh, it's so amazing. So I'm not going to spoil that, though. You'll just have to find that out for yourself. And then, of course, we have the live ships. So the main live ships in the story are Vivacia, which is the Vestrit family live ship. And then there is Paragon. And Paragon is the Ludluck family live ship. He has come to be known as the Pariah. Everybody assumes that he is a mad ship. He has gone completely mad. He has come back numerous times with all of his crew either dead or missing, and his eyes are all scratched out. He just seems to be completely mad, and so they have beached and really forbidden anybody to even associate with Paragon. But Brashen and Althea don't really care for that, so they just break the rules and go and visit with him anyway, keep him company, and eventually Amber does as well. And then the other live ship that has a fairly good amount of time on the page is the live ship Ophelia. And then there's other live ships as well, but we don't really spend a whole lot of time with them, like the Kendry shows up on occasion in the story. And then there are serpents that roam the waters around Beantown and around the neighboring cities. We get several point of view chapters from the serpents talking with each other because they are trying to restore their memories of the nesting grounds that they are supposed to go to so that they can hibernate and transform themselves into dragons. So yes, there are dragons in this story, guys. One particular dragon that features very heavily in the story is Tintaglia, or maybe it's Tintalia, I'm not sure. It seems like it could be either one, so I'm just going to say Tintaglia. But she's this absolutely breathtakingly beautiful blue dragon, and once she hatches, she makes it her mission to find the other serpents and help them get to the nesting grounds. The problem is a lot of the serpents have become completely dumb. They no longer remember anything about their purpose and their destiny. They are just mindless serpents that traverse the waters and feed on whatever game they can find. So It's just this really interesting world. There's a lot of characters that play. The Rain Wild characters especially are really interesting to learn about. They've got a lot of unique customs. Their appearance is very unique. They wear veils over their faces because they feel that they would be unpleasant to look at by most people. And so they wear veils over their faces, and it's fascinating to learn about this. And some of the lore that comes about as a result of what you learn about these different people groups and about the serpents and the dragons is just absolutely fascinating. I loved the characters in this story. Even Kyle, even though I loved to hate him, I still loved him. He was an extremely well-written character. Robin Hobb's character development in this story took a huge leap from the Farseer trilogy, so I was absolutely blown away. So we'll talk briefly about the magic. The main magic in this world is that of wizard wood. Wizard wood is carved from trunks of mysterious wood that are found in ancient elderling cities underneath the cities of the Rainwild areas. The Rainwild traders have unearthed these different trunks of wood and have carved the live ships out of them, and through a process of the families who own these ships living and dying aboard them, they eventually come to life. I kind of mentioned that at the beginning of the video. So it's essentially blood magic that is causing this to happen. And so they do eventually come to life. And the live ships are the only ships that can traverse the waters of the Rainwild River. Any other ship that tries to go up the river ends up eventually falling apart and just completely disintegrating because the waters are so toxic. And those waters are very toxic to humans as well. And the people who live in the Rainwilds eventually, grow sores on themselves and things like that from living there. And so you have to be very careful going up the Rainwild River. But there are interesting trinkets that can be found for those who are willing to venture up the Rainwild. And those are eventually the traders that end up making a lot more money because they come back with all kinds of unique gifts and trinkets that they can sell to people. So it can be a very lucrative enterprise to take your ship into the Rainwild territories. So I kind of went off on a tangent there. We'll get back to the magic. And the only other magic in this part of the world is mind linking with dragons. Only certain people can mind link with dragons, and they are called dragon friends, and so it's really cool to see that blossom and grow in this story as well. So I think you would really enjoy that. I'm not going to say anything more about it, but it's really, really special. So as far as the themes go in this story, the two major themes that really stuck out to me are themes of equality, specifically gender equality. As I said before, this is a very patriarchal society, so women are not accorded equal respect and stature. And then the other theme that really stuck out to me is that of regret. So many times characters in the story are faced with choices that they regret and wish that they could take back, whether it was the way they treated their families or things that they could have done differently that would have put them in a different position in life, and specifically choices that brought them to a place of real ruin in their lives. But there's still a thread of hope that weaves throughout this story, and it's just magnificent to watch the characters grow as their journey continues and they mature and choose to do things differently than they did before. So even though they have regrets, they're learning from their mistakes. So what did I love about this book? I absolutely love the character development. I think Althea is probably my favorite character in the story. Malta really bugged me at the beginning of the story, but her character arc just took her to a place that I think she is also one of my favorite characters. She grew and matured so much, and it was just awesome to see it happen. So many things happened to Wintro as well, so I just, there's so much great character development in this story, so that's a big win for me. I really enjoyed the world building in this story so much, And it was so much better than the Farseer trilogy was. Even though the Farseer trilogy was good, the world building in this story was so much more cohesive and well done and immersive. It really immersed me in the story. So I absolutely loved that part of it. The magic was really cool. Super unique with the wizard wood and the ships that come to life and talk and have their own personalities. I thought that was really, really awesome. And the only thing that I didn't like is there wasn't a whole lot more information on certain characters, like Amber. We get enough information about her, but not as much as I would have liked. I would have liked to see more of the dragons and see them eventually cocoon and then hatch and come to life. But that's probably for another series in the realm of the Elderlings, so that's okay. And I would have liked to have seen more closure on relationships that happen in the story. So people falling in love and talking about getting married and starting to rebuild their lives in Beantown and things like that. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more about that, but I'm sure we'll get more on that as the realm of the Elderlings continues on. That's really the only thing that bothered me. I just would have liked a little bit more information, but that's just selfish on my part. I thought the ending was really perfect. It tied everything together. All of the loose ends that needed to be tied up were tied up. And I highly recommend this series to you guys. As far as my tier ranking goes, it goes in my soaring tier. And this is easily one of my favorite series. It may even be my favorite series of the year. I don't know yet. We'll see on that. But I definitely recommend it to you guys. I think you'll love it. One thing I would recommend is reading the Farseer trilogy first. I think you can start with the Liveship Traders, because it's a separate series all to itself. But it does tie into the Farseer trilogy. There are things that happen in that trilogy, especially at the end, in the final book of the trilogy, in Assassin's Quest, that you will get more answers for in the Liveship Traders. So I definitely recommend reading that series first. But if you want to start with the awesomeness that is the Liveship Traders, you can. Just know that you're going to be missing out on a few details, okay? So that's all I've got to say about this series. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Are you wanting to read this series? Have you read it? Let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And guys, make sure you are reading more books, and I'll see you next time.